Alright, welcome back. So what happens if you have 10 hours to spare to play Space Engineers? You could possibly spend your time on digging, and of course, some more digging. So we spent the little time that we had to turn the asteroid into a hamburger. So let's take a look. Alright, so this view is actually a searchlight, but it is the core of the asteroid, which is the batteries, reactors, and things like that. And as you can see here, we drilled out a big old massive hole through the asteroid. As you see here, we have a big mess up in the front of where we started with all these hydrogen tanks, cargo containers, our production line, and a massive empty hole over here, which we'll fill out soon enough. But we did move the gravity collector right over here too. Alright, so the base is looking pretty good. We still got to work on this wall right here, which we didn't hollow out just yet, but because everything's in the way. But also wanted to use it as defense as well. But let's take a look and get you an update on the asteroid base so far. Much of this going forward may be more time lapses, only because it's going to take a while to do a lot of certain things that are kind of repetitive in terms of commentary. So there's not much to talk about, but just build in an essence. So everything we built here so far is definitely going to have to move because we need to make rooms for each and everything. We are likely going to start with the core right here. We're going to make a nice little pillar of core system going up to the roof right over here. But we also need to still weld up the flooring, the roofs, the roomings, and everything like that. At first, I started drilling the whole entire asteroid with the modular drilling ship right over here. It had the hinges and everything, so it goes up and down to clear out the asteroid and everything like that. That took forever. So I went with a more basic style and a much longer style, which surprisingly the ship can handle flying and removing whenever necessary with all these in place. It can get a little tricky, but it worked out okay. But of course, attaching it to a bunch of pistons and everything like that to drag it along and pushing it forward as slowly as possible makes for a nice flat area. So I'm contemplating if I should build one up in terms of the grid, because then I could do the piping right underneath it and then I wouldn't have to drill underneath. So that could be a possibility. So we're thinking about starting on here so we can do the piping on the ground level here, touching the asteroid. How much is it going up? So it's 1, 2, 3, looking to be about 14 right over here, and that would make 15 here. So now do we want piping on top too? Working with odd numbers is slightly better. So maybe I start up to here initially, and if I do need more, I'll probably just do some drilling on the top end, which is probably not the best idea. Probably doing the bottom's better because we're closer to the top than we are on the bottom if you're looking out from the asteroid. Well, one line wouldn't break anything, so it wouldn't be too bad. So yeah, should be okay. All right, so more updates. Basically, I did move the gravity collector for multiple reasons. One, I needed room in front so I could start drilling out some bits here, and also needed to fly things inside. And two, I attempted to make some welding ships. One would be this one. The initial one failed because I messed up and didn't really think it through, where all the ports needed to be large ports in order for the collector and the welders to collect steel plates, because that's what it needs, not the small ports. So I did rebuild it eventually and got this welding ship to be working fine. The only issue that I don't like about it is that this welder here is just a welder. It does not collect any materials whatsoever. It's more of an assistant welder in an essence. And these welders are working through the collector to a conveyor junction to another conveyor junction into the modular car container. And it links in the back with these large tubes into the other side. So the original design was actually going to be one of my kind of ideas of a multi-tool, was to have both ends with a cockpit. So if I needed to grind, I'll just jump over to the other end and grind from there. But didn't really work out, so we left it at just the welding machine here. This thing carries a decent amount of material, so about 20,000 liters worth of things. And then I started to weld the ground a little bit in the back, which kind of worked out, but it's still very slow. So I have a different idea for that, which is very basic. But after the failed attempt, I tried to build this, but this just looked more of a brick system, so I kind of forgoed it. I just left it here. I probably should scrap it because it has a decent amount of parts. But it's the same concept, right? So you have the welder collector into the modular cargo system, but I stacked it up with 3 here, and the large ports are all connected. So that's the most compact we can get it. I mean, it can probably make this look a little bit better, so that's why I kept it for now. I do need to move this though, because it's in the way of the gravity collector, which has been somewhat dangerous here and there, especially having it here in a free space here, because things tend to fly into it really, really quick because I have the gravity thing on way too fast. I should probably slow it down. But yeah, these production stations work decently. I mean, it doesn't work the best when it comes to putting it into these ships here. So for an example, if I bring this thing to the connector that spits out the steel plates, so I still gotta kind of line up the connector, which is a bit annoying. Probably use a light or so, or maybe projection, so I can see a field of where it's supposed to be lined up. Then it'll be perfectly fine. But in terms of this collection, it's decent, but not the greatest. Not as much as I thought it would be. But once I touch in, you'll see that it's going to launch the steel plates. But you see how it hangs out a little bit before it sucks in? That's the problem. I was hoping to suck it all at once really quickly. That'll be a little bit better. So you see here, it's just kind of like log jammed a little bit, which is not the greatest. At that point, I might as well have it connected to the connector and just get everything from it. But I mean, it kind of works out. It's still a little bit slower, but a good thing is that it works a little bit better in the fact that I moved the gravity collector over here. So if we turn it on, this happens. And that's what I mean by being dangerous. So basically, if we were to grab any materials from our main station here, and we ran out of steel plates, interior plates, construction components, and small steel tubes. I know it says steel tubes, but this is small steel tubes. We could easily just pass by any of these connectors, trigger to spit out those materials, and put it into our main cargo system. So it kind of helps prevent it from log jamming our main cargo system, if anything. It's a stretch, but these things are fairly useless in this case. But if I could design it to be more handheld welding, that could work too. I think just the connector holding 8,000 liters isn't too much, so it can spit out a good chunk, and I can just grab it from there. But what I really do is, when I run out of materials, I just like pass on by, let it spit out, and get into the gravity collector right there. So we do the same thing with interior plates, construction components, and also small steel tubes. And when I mean this thing is dangerous, I mean that. Ow. Flying materials everywhere. So of course that's not fun when you have a large ore coming right at you. And that actually took me out a couple of times. It actually broke some of my systems before too, especially when I had the gravity collector on this side. So yeah, again, with the production station, yes, the refineries are a bit of an issue because we are only accepting iron ores and ingots, and it's gonna refine iron ores mainly in each individual one. So if this takes it all, then these are not going to have any. So we got to resolve that, and that is basically separating the refinery basically from the assembler, which makes a lot of sense. So it's more of keeping the assembler timing and everything like that more than is the refineries. So that would actually keep it more compact. So it could be 2 blocks away, so I could easily just pop in, and grab all the materials that we need in our main cargo system. But yeah, obviously there's no real need for that, but that's just something fun to do. And especially with this big old asteroid, we got a lot of room to do stuff. All right, so kind of next updates is basically this refinery I just added there to add more. Yeah, so we can refine things a little bit quicker, and especially stone. We have a whole bunch of cargo containers right over here. Why? Because we collected some of the ice and stone that we drilled out. I didn't want to waste too much of the ice, so that's why this is not drilled out yet either. I want to kind of collect this and turn it into hydrogen if possible. But we do have way too much ice. So as you see here, 647, 920, 1121, 347, 1100k of ice. More right here. So tons and tons of ice and tons of stone that we're refining, which we have very little refineries to do it, but we should add more. We added a whole bunch of hydrogen tanks. So we have 2 here. And then we have 6 over here, and that's just refining as much hydrogen as possible. So this way we can always transfer the hydrogen once we have a hydrogen room ready. And as you saw before, just adding some lights. So I put some of these spotlights around. You got these spotlight here, you got one there. Not really showing too much in terms of lighting, but fun little camera view. But we got nice bit of sun coming right through. This is like a nice view right here. This needs to have a big old window. It has to. There's no way I'm not putting a window here, especially when the light hits right over here. Alright, so it looks like I'm gonna move the pillar a little bit to the right side and then merge my ship back into it on the top end. We did a little mistake here, but that's fine. We're not gonna see that once we cover it up. But we need to drill this out, and when we drill this out, I might collect the stone and the ice that is still here. We'll probably end up doing that a little bit off camera. And as you see, some of the refineries are gone now because they weren't even done anyway, so it's fine. I did smack into it a couple of times with the drill and also my own ships. That I removed some of them. I should probably remove all of them, to be honest. But then we have the floating batteries and everything like that based on that O2H2 system. Why is this even welded? Okay, I think I removed the power on this thing. Great. So this thing is no longer attached to anything. So I'm gonna have to merge this back in. Whoops. So I did find in my projections that I have a bit of a long wall or big wall, so I'm utilizing it now on here. I put it on the center so then we could easily move it across and start welding it as much as possible. And once again, this ship does work out okay in terms of welding. Doesn't really like to spin that well sometimes, but it kind of works okay. The way it works is basically just throw it on the floor. Right? That's what I've been doing. Just toss it on the ground. All the way towards the ground is just moving it forward this way, so then it can weld that way. Oop. Looks like I broke a welder, or is it not on? Ah, it's not part of my grouping because I broke it at one point. So as you see here, it's works out okay. It's not the best. The helper one in the middle kind of is a little bit slower because it has no materials in there. I could throw in materials if anything, but it could also go towards the line of in between the steel plates or the light armor blocks that can help fix those a little bit quicker. But going forward like this is actually the slower way when it comes to this type of drone system. It's actually better to go sideways. And the reason for that is because it throws in all the materials that you need on one end. And then the middle one will help it along the way a little bit. And the last one will finish it up. So if you're really doing it sideways, what you really need is one welder to put out all the material. And the other ones to weld up everything. So this way's a little bit faster, but I think a whole welding station will be a little bit better. Or a welding ship, a modular ship, kind of similar to the drill ship that we have. So just put all welders instead. Might be a better bet. But other than that, I took the scavenger drone. It was kind of just laying on the sides, not doing anything. I think it came from pirate ship or that shakedown thing. It came after us, but never really attacked us, which is the weird part. So I decided to add the cab cockpit right there. And then I throw in some batteries as well, because it didn't really have any... It didn't have that much batteries or any batteries at all except for a reactor. So I put two big batteries here. That's why it's kind of like bigger than it used to be. I should put in a little bit more ion thrusters, but also added some Gatlins. So 2 Gatlins on the side of the cab and 1 autocannon where it used to be a Gatlin. This thing flies okay, but it's not the greatest, only because it doesn't have enough ion thrusters on each side. But this is what's gonna defend us in the front or in the certain areas of the asteroid, because we're gonna need a good split of drones in case the shakedown comes back. The original shakedown is here. This thing ran out of power, so I added a small little battery over there and put in a hydrogen engine, which I thought I turned off. So if it's on, it's gonna kill all the hydrogen that's here. But this one has a mag plate. This one intended for taking unknown signals and things like that, but it does also have an autocannon there. So another quick update is that there's a bit of like these smaller asteroids surrounding the base. So there's one right there. There was one here. There's a few on the other side potentially. So what I decided to do is throw in some batteries some defense AIs, an event controller, floodlights, solar panels, and some assault cannon. Surprisingly, I was able to put one here. Didn't think that would work. All right, so once I get the floors welded up, the roof welded up, I don't have to work on the sides just yet. I can start working some rooms just so I have some light. But let's launch the time lapse. Alright, and as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down below, even to just say hi, of course, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.